shorter breaths, we're actually not getting as much oxygen into our bloodstream, which makes mental clarity difficult. And it's also tamping down emotions. You know, like when you get frightened or scared or shocked, what's the first thing you do? Right? And you stop, right? And it stops right here at your heart. So just whether you do 6-6 breathing or 4-4-8 breathing or any of the other ones that, I mean, there are probably 1,000 videos on YouTube on how to breathe. But no matter what, to awaken yourself, taking good breaths periodically through the day is one of the easiest and most important things we can do. So what I'd like you to do now is go ahead and put one hand on your stomach and one hand on your heart and take a deep breath in. And breathe all the way into the bottom of your belly. You know, it's the way that I like to describe it is it's just like pouring water in a vase. You pour water in the vase and it goes to the bottom and it fills up. So you'll feel your belly expand and then you feel your chest and your heart expand. And as you exhale, it's not a it's not a forced exhale. Just open your mouth, maybe an inch or two, and just let the breath fall from your mouth. And a way to think of it is it's kind of like being on a swing. Now, your inhale, there's some exertion, like pulling back on the chains and going up, there's some exertion on the swing. But when you're coming back, you're just letting gravity take over. Your exhale is the same way. It's just, it's almost a sigh. Then the last piece to a circular breath is try to have no pause at the bottom and no pause at the top. So it's just a circle coming up your spine, down your front. Just a circle up your spine and down your front. And so if you're like me, you're saying, yeah, sure, what am I supposed to do this? Another thing I get to do, I have two things that I try to do, and I'm pretty good at it. Whenever I have to wait, one is I take a deep breath, usually 2 or 3. And the second thing I do is I look for 3 things that interest me, make me smile, or I haven't noticed before. So there's probably a street corner by your house that you cross, at least before the pandemic, you crossed several times in a day, probably now a few times a day. The next time you do that, stop at that corner, take a breath, and really look around and find 3 things that you haven't noticed before. Something that makes you smile, something you find interesting. All of those things are ways to get you to be present. Just being present. Side benefit is you'll be a little bit healthier and you'll build some new positive neural pathways, which are a good thing. But you're going to be present. And why is that so important? Awakening your purpose and finding purpose in life, you know, all of the people I've worked with, especially within my work with addictions, people are unsure where they want to go. One of the questions that I always ask, well, what do you want more of? What do you want more of? What do you really want? You know, what do you want? How will you get it? And how will you feel when you get it? And it is amazing when I ask people, what is it you want? The vast majority of the people don't tell me what they want. They tell me what they want less of. Well, I don't want my boss to. I wish I had more time. Um, I'd like to do less of this, smoke less, drink less, whatever. All of those things are pain. Pain is fear. So basically, I say, so you still want to be in pain, you just want less pain, right? And they say, well, no, I'd like to be happy. Okay, then tell me what you want. So if you happen to have a piece of paper and a pencil handy, here's an exercise to do. If you'd like, draw 3 columns. And the first column is, what do you want? How will I get it? How will I feel when I get it? Another way to do this is record this on your phone so that you don't have to write and break the momentum. If you have a partner that can do this, it's even better. And they can say, what do you want? How will you get it? How will you feel when you get it? Because if you can define what it is you want, what's the feeling that you're looking for? Happiness, joy, safety, love. What's the feeling? And all that came from just asking you to be present for a moment. Not being present leads to an avoidance of feeling. The science, and there's tons of different reports that you can read and everything, but basically it says that we spend 30% of our time living in the past and 70% of our time living in the future, which leaves absolutely no time to be here now, right? And we go to great extremes to avoid being present, whether it's, boy, I don't know about you, but Zoom has been one of them for me in the last 3 months, but computers, shopping, video games, any of those kinds of things. And taking that breath and finding the 3 things helps you to be present. And you can tell yourself then, because there is a truism, if you spend 30% in the past and 70% in the future, this moment is the only moment. Right? That one's gone. And this moment is the only moment. And every one of those moments, in every single one of those moments, we have a choice. And we can choose how we're going to go forward, which is different than having some external force choose for us. And the coolest thing, when you do that consciously, here's what you'll find out. There'll be times when you choose wrongly, but you get to choose again. Because if you stay present, you can go, that doesn't seem to be working the way I thought it was. It's not a judgment. It's not a regret. It's just you know what? Right now I know better, so I'm going to do better and I'm going to choose again. When you look at A Course in Miracles, one of my favorite lessons in A Course in Miracles is lesson 7, where it says, I see only the past. I see only the past. And that is so true. And it's so true in every manner of our lives. When we get an input, somebody says something that triggers us, or we see something, we relive every one of the examples that happened that caused us to have this feeling. And our body never forgets. So it drags everything. So when you see something and you get startled or something triggers you, it is an instantaneous replay of the hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of times that situation has happened before. And it's measurable. It happens in 1/20th of a second. So in 1/20th of a second, your body tells you, holy crap, I need to be scared right now. I need to run. I need to fight. I need to freeze. I need to do something, and I am going to do it. And I will do it the same way as I've done it 100, 1,000, 10,000 times before, unless we can learn to be present. And then the other piece to it, one of my other favorite lessons is I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. So I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. And what does that mean? One of the key components in awakening purpose, and what we're going to talk about today, is being authentic and moving away from the concept or the belief that I'm the only one that this happens to. I'm the only one. By the time we're 6 years old, our ego's fully in place and we recognize other. And not only can we recognize other, but we are really good at putting labels on other. Tall, short, black, white, whatever. So you take those three things that I see only the past, and I drag all that with me, and I'm not present, and I have this feeling that other people are going to judge me because I'm the only one that's having these feelings. And awakening purpose becomes difficult. And here's how it's reinforced. You have 50,000 thoughts a day. 80% of those thoughts are negative, and we repeat 95% of those every day. Awakening your purpose, being authentic, being present, knowing what you want from a soul perspective, a heart perspective, allows us to move to someday 50,000 thoughts a day, 80% are positive, and I repeat 95% of those every day. $50,000 thoughts a day, 80% are positive. I repeat 95% of those a day. Which is a really long way to get to how amazing I think these times are right now. Flat out amazing. So far you've got two exercises. So far you've got when you cross the corner, or if you have to wait in front of an elevator, or if you're at a red light, don't close your eyes, but take a deep breath, find three things. The other is begin to start really looking at what you want. And then why do you want it? What's the feeling that you're after? So that's two exercises right there. So there's three occurrences that have gone on that make these things just line up absolutely perfectly. The first was the pandemic, right? So we have this pandemic. On one day, we could do whatever it is that we wanted, and then somebody threw a light switch and we couldn't do anything. And so we all did the same thing. We said, well, this is awesome, man. I can clean out my closets. I can take a walk. I can get back to running. I can practice guitar. I can read all the books that I've read the first chapter to and never finished any of them. I can do all those things. And that seemed like that was pretty cool. And everybody was pretty happy. And then all of a sudden, people are like, well, now what? I want things to go back the way they were, as if those were the good old days. And then there's the anxiety around, you know what? There's no light switch to turn this back on. Things are going to be different for a long time. Who knows when we're going to go to a football game or a hockey game, or um, in my case, I like to run and go to a race with, who knows how many thousands of people. A movie theater, a play. I walked by the Art Institute today and I just sort of stopped in the front and kind of wished I could have gone in. We have the pandemic, and what's the opportunity? The opportunity there is simple one. The universe is going, hey, you got a choice here. You can expand or you can contract. What is it you want to do? Expansion is looking for purpose. Expansion is taking what you're doing now and really diving deep into it. And why is it that I like doing this? Why is it that I want to do this? What drew me? What is it that I am supposed to share with others? How do I build this community? It is most definitely an opportunity to look at the importance of connection and relationships. And then for all the things that you've learned in these last few months, as you've expanded, how are you going to maintain them? And now, especially since we get more and more contact with others, how do we share that? How do we bring the abundance that we've manifested to others? It's pretty awesome. It's really awesome. And then that leads to the George Floyd incident, all of the turmoil, the positives. I'm 68 years old, so I've lived through social upheaval once before in the 60s. And I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and I was 2 high schools away from Kent State when the shooting at Kent State happened. And when I was 16 then, all right, 17 maybe. I was a teenager. And outside of burning things down and tearing things up, I didn't really see much other option. So I understand the anger and the riots from that. And you know what? There was some good change that came out of it, but we fell back pretty quickly into our old ways. We had this opportunity to expand or contract. We expanded, and then slowly but surely we contracted and contracted and contracted into what we have today. That's why I really talk about expansion and contraction. It's also the opportunity, there's only two emotions, fear and love. Tearing things down only strengthens the people who live in fear. Moving forward with love gets change. That's Martin Luther King, that's Gandhi. One of my favorite quotes is Mother Teresa's quote. I used it last time. I'm not going to protest against the Vietnam War, but I will protest for peace. Moving forward in that way. So expanding and contracting, awakening your purpose, fear and love. When I asked you to write down, what do you want? Once you define the want, I've never had anybody come up with, I want more pain. I want to live in more fear. Never once. It's always been about love. So then how are you going to do that? How are you going to expand into that more and more? And that's new neural pathways, to process new behaviors. And then finally, today, the summer solstice. I mean, here we are on the summer solstice, right? The longest day of the year, the most light. There's only two emotions, fear and love, right? Fear cannot exist in the presence of love. Darkness cannot exist in the presence of light. Darkness cannot exist in the presence of light. But you know what? As we move forward, and as we celebrate this day, it's important that the light reach every piece of our hearts and our souls. If it was a room, underneath the bed, the upper shelf in your closet, behind the little leg in your bed, behind the curtains, all of that. One of my favorite Buddhist concepts is about the Great Eastern Sun. And the Great Eastern Sun shines on everybody and everything equally. There's no judgment. So when you go out in the morning and watch the sun come up, take some time and just watch it come up over the lake, if you have that opportunity, over the buildings. And it shines on everything equally and everybody equally. And up until now, historically, summer solstice, it's been a time when farmers and all have worked really hard, right? Done all their field prep and all their planting, and they get to rest a little bit. It's time to appreciate the beauty, because you know what? Tomorrow, the days start getting shorter, right? Darkness begins to dominate the light, moving back. So what an opportunity today in this summer solstice to absolutely celebrate, recognize all the things that we have done for ourselves and for others, and celebrate this. This is a day of true joy. So I think this is a good place to take a break. And for a moment, before we start the meditation, sit with yourself and just take a couple of breaths and close your eyes and just be grateful. Could be gratitude for a partner in your life, your home, a job, the ability to share. Just be grateful for a minute. And notice where in your body you feel that. See if that has a color or a shape and hold that. It's also a time to take a look at perhaps someone you're having difficulty with. In fact, it could be a whole organization. If you can get it to one person, that's good. If you can find someone, a relative or a co-worker, or a boss, authority figure, someone you're having difficulty with. And take a moment and just start with, for me, I wish for me happiness and the causes of happiness. I wish for me the end of suffering and the causes of suffering. And then for someone else, someone you're having difficulty with, I wish for them happiness and the causes of happiness. I wish for them the end of suffering and the causes of suffering. Let's just stick with those two opposites for today. You know what? Both of those might be easy for you. Both of those might be hard for you. One may be easier than the other. But going back to that 3-column exercise that I had, the first part is, yeah, you know what? I don't want any suffering. I'm tired of the pain. I want to get rid of that, and I want to get rid of the causes of it. I want to have the courage to move forward and eliminate that. You know what? There was a time in my life when that served me. It protected me. It kept me safe. I might have been 2 years old at the time. I don't need to drag it around anymore now that I'm 68. I can set that aside. I can move forward with happiness and the causes of happiness. And you know what? One of the key components of happiness is that everybody else is happy around me. That they're living in the love column and not the fear column. It makes life so much easier. In every moment, if you're present, you reject that 30% of the past that you drag forward every single time. You reject it and say, I have a choice. It's doable. At least for you. And you know what? You can't change other people. So we can pray for them. We can say the metta prayer that we just did for them. We can help them recognize, and hopefully we drag them along with us, right? So let's go ahead and open your eyes and tell you what, that was a lot, right? One of my favorite other exercises, here's a good one for anxiety. I don't know why I'm thinking about this right now. It comes from storytelling class that I took with a guy named Scott Whitehair. If you ever have a chance to take one of his classes, highly recommend it. He's awesome. But he does this exercise that he teaches us. And this really works really good if any of you have little kids. This is pretty awesome. So all it is I'm not going to do it here, but because I'm sitting here in my little chair, but if you're standing up, stand up at home and you do this with your hands and your feet and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then you do a foot and then you do a foot and then you do 9, 9, 9, 9, 8, 8, 8, 8. And you just keep going like that down to 1. It will make you present because you do have to do some thinking and it's fun and it reduces anxiety, as does the breathing. So shake off a little bit and then have a seat and get yourself relaxed. And go ahead and close your eyes. Begin to notice your breath. I'm going to put on this little picture. Begin to notice your breath. Notice if your breath is deep and full or if it's choppy. Breathe all the way down into your belly. You might want to go ahead and put your hand on your belly and your heart again and go ahead and just expand that belly and your breath. Remember, it's just like pouring water into a vase. Breathe down into your feet and into your toes. Be grateful for Mother Earth. On this day, the summer solstice, when we're at the maximum tilt towards the sun, a day that only happens once every year, the longest day of the year, the time to celebrate the work that we've done in the spring and all the beauty that's around us. Breathe in with excitement, thinking, the next time I go out, I'm going to find 3 things that make me smile, that I find interesting. And I bet you can begin to see some of those right now. Go ahead and breathe up into your heart. Just let the nourishment from Mother Earth fill your heart. And with your next breath, go ahead and just breathe up through the crown area about 2 inches above your head and breathe it up and out. Being grateful, being open to the answers to your prayers and the answers of what do I want? And knowing that the universe is conspiring in your favor. The universe is conspiring in your favor. In this moment, which is the only moment, I choose joy. I choose to awaken my purpose. What do I want? How will I feel when I get it? And just keep your breath nice and fluid. And you know what? If that feels like a tall order, take a breath and breathe up into your solar plexus. That area is right below, like where your rib cage comes together. It's your 3rd chakra. It's also known as your power chakra, and the color is yellow. Manipurna, city of jewels, seat of gems. That's a visual that makes me smile every time. Seat of gems. I can touch them, I can feel them, I can hear them as I hold them. And just keep breathing into that yellow space in your solar plexus. Just keep breathing into that area. I am. I have purpose. I radiate that purpose to the world. I radiate my power to the world. I am not alone in these beliefs. I am joined by others, some who have gone before me, many, many, many who are here now, and I'm setting the stage for those yet to come. Breathe into that yellow space. Feel your power expand. That bright yellow, the bright yellow of a noon sun on summer solstice, the longest day of the year, providing us the energy to do what it is that we're called to do. There's proof in our past that we can accomplish those things. They may be big, they may be little. All those acts of compassion, all those acts of being in the love column, making eye contact, saying thank you, helping someone, being with someone who may be struggling without judgment, giving them the courage to move forward in their purpose. And in that yellow, the element is the fire and the sun and the heat and energy. It's all forms of power. We don't have to turn on the light switch and change the world. That's not going to happen. But there are 1,000 little steps that we can make every day. How many moments are there? This moment is the only moment. In this moment, I choose joy. That moment's already gone. What do I want? How will I manifest it? Take 3 or 4 or 5 now really good deep breaths on your own. See yourself moving towards clarity in your judgment. That third eye opening, allowing your intuition, your knowing to come forward and for you to trust it without judgment. Self-assurance. And independence in knowing that I am purposeful. Continue to breathe in that, nourished by the sun. Now begin to breathe up and breathe that light, that energy up and out into the universe. Tilt your head upwards. Picture yourself outdoors. Picture yourself in your favorite place. Maybe the beach or the mountains, park, maybe your own backyard. It's your favorite place. Tilt your head up, receive the warmth of the sun. That great eastern sun that comes over the earth every day, that illuminates all of us equally. It's the expression of our goodness. Our goodness, not arrogance or aggression, but our goodness. When you sit in meditation, sitting with a strong back and an open front with a heart forward, that is the warrior position. It's a vulnerable position. Allow that sun to enter your heart. Generate that heat in your solar plexus. Allow it to rise up in your body. Knowing you're communicating with the sun. You're relating to the sun, to the heavens. With purpose. Clarity. Abundance. Compassion. Kindness. Goodness. Joy. Pass that energy on, that golden light, to the first name that comes into your head. The first person. They can be here, they can have passed. And give it to another. And another. And another. And another. And wish for them happiness and the causes of happiness, and the end of suffering and the causes of suffering. And know with an awakened purpose, a compassionate heart, feet firmly grounded in Mother Earth, and a relationship, a joint relationship with the sun, the universe, that people will look to you. They'll see something in you that will help them define what they want. It can be through song or movement or writing, being fair and kind in whatever profession, endeavor that you've chosen. Because then you can do that because that power in your solar plexus, that golden energy, that light, that pure sun, that noon sun on summer solstice is there within you. I am. And if you would, just go ahead and take a couple more breaths and just rest in that. I'll count up to 5 and bring you back to the room. 1, begin to feel the air in the room. 2, begin to move your hands and your feet. 3, your eyelids begin to open. 4, you open your eyes. And 5, you return to the room, relaxed and refreshed. So I'd like to thank everyone for the time we've had together. I guess if there's, summaries to things, it really is learning to be present and um, not dragging our past with us everywhere, right? And releasing that. There's the Chinese proverb or story that, about, your shadow self, your fears that come at you. It's like you can see the fear coming in that 1/20th of a second. Oh, here it comes again. And it's an opportunity to invite it in for a cup of tea and say, thank you. You served me well, but you can go. This no longer serves me. I love that phrase. This no longer serves me. And in closing, I put my contact information up there, email and website. If you're interested in moving from fear to love, I've got a series of 21 10-minute or less videos up there that is kind of a summary of A Course in Miracles. And it's designed to do one of those videos a day for 21 days and then do it 3 times. And it will really go a long way into moving from I'm making decisions from a place of fear to I'm making decisions from a place of love. Right where we started, right? Having 50,000 thoughts a day, 80% are positive, and I'm going to repeat those 95% of the time. So again, my name's Jeff, and I really hope to see you guys soon. I will turn it back over to Cindy. I appreciate it.
Jeff, thank you so much.
Thank you, Cindy.
Absolutely.
It's always fun.
And I don't know if anybody has any questions for